All right. So last week started out with the major averages down, the FTSE 100 down, CAC down, the DAX down. Bitcoin went up 72,000. Major cryptos were up. The 2 to 5 to 10-year notes were up. WTI and Brent crude was down. Natural gas was down. The Russell 2000 was down. The VIX was up. The Dow transports were down. Frontier Airline will soon let you pay extra for free middle seats. Cybersecurity startup Syria is set up to triple its valuation to 1.55 billion in a new funding round. Inflation data keeps rate cut bets intact. Chinese stocks in a bull market as investors buy into the economic rebuild. There's a bill that could ban TikTok. That was Monday. Of course, we all know that it went through the House on Friday because with national security framing. Illegal immigration is helping the U.S. job market, avoiding a recession. Morgan Stanley CIO sticks to bearish forecast. Bitcoin surge solidifies Bernstein's $150,000 target by mid-2025. Inverted yield curve now is an unreliable recession outlook indicator. A virtuous AI investment cycle to boost record profits. Jamie Dimon compares Bitcoin to smoking. Bitcoin will eat gold as prices hit new record highs. Inflation still elevated in February with 3.2% year over year. NanoNet's AI workflow automation startup raises $29 million. A stock market correction looks likely, but not a bear market. Amazon expanding ad business as is challenging Meta and Google. Indexes climb as CPI keeps rate cut bets intact. U.S. still at risk of a hard landing. Jamie Dimon says that the Fed should wait on an interest rate cut. Stock market future edges higher ahead of inflation report. And then on the following day, the S&P started out up, the Dow was down, the NASDAQ was up. 2-year was unchanged, 5 and 10-year was down. WTI and Brent crude oil was up, same with natural gas. Then in the European trade, the German DAX, FTSE 100, and the CAC around in France were all up. Bitcoin dropped. Other major cryptos, except for Solana, dropped. The Hang Seng was up. The Nikkei was down. The Shanghai was down. The 30-year fix was down. The 15-year jumbo was down. The 30-year jumbo was down. Consumer spending bounced back. Gold and silver was down. Copper was up. Means construction is coming back. The euro and the yen was up. The pound was down. Women make $10,000 less as men executives. 83 cents to every $1. The Delta reaffirms FY guidance, just for year guidance. Investors brace for CPI data. More people selling stolen goods every day, up to 40 billion. Jamie Dimon over at JP Morgan sees a bubble in equities. Biden has a 7.3 budget plan. February small business optimism falls. American Airlines expects Q1 losses near a low end of guidance, while Delta expects a first quarter EPS near a high end of guidance. Aviation stocks all around hit turbulence. Stock futures mostly higher. Yield holds steady ahead of CPI. Former Reddit CEO shares her opinion on the IPO and revenue streams. Former President Trump asked Elon Musk if he would buy Truth Social. Jeremy Siegel says Nvidia could be worth $6 trillion if it follows Cisco's plan. Larry Ellison and Elon teaming up to bring AI to farming. Rapid Canvas emerges from stealth with 7.5 million raised. Boeing problems have airline CEOs changing plans for growth. Google restricts Gemini AI chatbot from answering election questions. U.S. stock futures steady after S&P 500 hits another high. China's Xiaomi is about to launch an electric car. Property crisis could get uglier with China and state-backed developers raises concern. And Bitcoin and gold on fire for Tuesday. On Wednesday, the S&P was down, the Nasdaq was down, the Dow was up. WTI, West Texas Intermediate was up. Brent crude was up. Natural gas was down. Gold was up. Silver was up. Copper was up. The euro was up. Yen was up. Pound was up. Major cryptos were up. FTSE 100 was up. DAX was up. CAC around France was up. Jamie Dimon backs Bob Iger in a proxy battle. Russell 2000 was up. The VIX was up. Dow Transport was up. Crypto AIs to drive surge in energy after a decade of flat demand. Bitcoin is unlikely to dip below 50,000 again, ever. That's what they're saying. 23andMe users allege the company of force auto renewals. Hybrids are more popular than ever. U.S. stock ends mix ahead of fresh inflation data. Retailers struggle with weirdly warmer weather. UBS says stocks at an all-time high are showing no signs of peaking. Expect higher for longer and higher for airfares as airlines deal with Boeing Max fallout. Bitcoin hits above 73,000 as demands from ETFs soar. Russian businesses enjoy a boom time as trade with China ramps up. Crypto miners making more revenue than ever amid Bitcoin price records. Nvidia stock's price outlook as Bank of America sets $1,100 price target ahead of AI's Woodstock. Putin backs OPEC oil cuts but warns of market share loss to the U.S. Uber and Lyft could leave Minneapolis over drivers' earnings. Unemployment top threat to soft landing. Hard landing rebuffs are dangerously similar to 2007. U.S. stocks hold steady after inflation-fueled rally. Mortgage interest rates today are back down following Tuesday's CPI. Jeff Bezos' Earth Fund is spending $60 million to make their Beyond Meat taste better. Now, on Thursday's major averages in the red, gold, silver, and copper are down. Nvidia slips, 10-year at 4.29. The euro was down, the yen was up, the pound was down. Major cryptos were mixed with Bitcoin falling. The FTSE 100 was down, the DAX Germany was down, the CAC in France was up, the Russell 2000 was down, and Nvidia as I said earlier, retreats again. Yield rises as stocks fall on hot inflation beat. Apple and Microsoft win and Ultra earnings after the bell. WTI was up, Brent crude was up, natural gas was up. Investors waved on Adobe Video Realm. The VIX was up. Dow Transport was down. The 2-year and the 30-year was up. Berkshire Hathaway's Class B stock underperforms compared to competitors despite daily gains. GameStop underperforms. Cocoa price hits another record, sweetening the broad rally for commodities. Microsoft shares losses along with Salesforce lead to the Dow's 167-point drop. Volkswagen and Porsche SE are stuck in a Wall Street pit. Microsoft stock underperforms. Anheuser-Busch underperforms. The 10-year Treasury sees its biggest weekly advance since October after the hot U.S. data. Oil prices settle lower, but tally a gain of 4% for the week. The Dow dropped lower to end the day, 102 points down. Alphabet, Class A stock Google outperforms despite losses. Helium is rallying off a decade-long shortage, and it's time for investors to pay attention. NVIDIA led phase 1 of the AI trade, says Goldman Sachs. Investors should buy portfolio insurance. BlackRock launches U.S. equity ETF with covered call strategies as options-based funds surge, and Bank of America underperforms. As we entered the week, a lot of those stories mixed, but the main focus was major averages lower. In Germany was a mixed bag with the FTSE 100 up, the DAX up, the CAC down, Bitcoin falling. The 2, the 5, and the 10-year notes, Treasury notes were up. WTI, Brent crude was down, same with natural gas. The Russell 2000 and VIX were up. Dow Transport was down. The 30-year was down. Gold was down. Silver was up. Copper was up. The euro was up. Yen was up. Pound was down. And the TikTok ban set in effect, which could be bad for Tesla and Apple. Growers are ripping up vineyards because there's simply too much wine. Apple hasn't updated Spotify's EU app. Stocks fell on inflation. Fed rate cut worries. Tesla stock price has a 68% upside. Walmart's selling Mac computers directly for the first time. Real estate stocks drop as NAR, that's the National Association of Realtors, agreed to $418 million settlement. Home prices may fall as effective for the real estate group, as a real estate group agrees to lower commissions. NVIDIA's AI boom to spread the 3 group of stocks. North Korea hackers laundered millions in crypto in 24 hours. Indexes fall as traders maul economic data. Bizarrely overvalued S&P 500 has a 49% crash rate when inflation hits, or when a recession hits. Excuse me. Most competitive rental markets added no new apartments. China could be using Mexico to skirt and to skip. U.S. import tariffs. Top websites from top websites are blocking Google from training on AI, from their training AI models on their data. Irish whiskey sales have soared over $1 billion in a year in the U.S. The U.S. economy faces a 1970-style stagflation as inflation sticks around. AI talk surges as those companies who have gone through the surge or have used AI to surge. Yeah. Hertz swap out as CEO as it looks to revitalize business after the failed EV push. And Bank of Japan may stake up financial markets before the Fed's next interest rate decision. Feels good. Well, that's a summary for what happened last week. Markets open in the United States on time, and which is always 9:30 Eastern Standard Time.